RTC person's trap.
Where that's going?
Rear of Brooklands Museum.
Right, okay.
So units, we've got a report of a two-vehicle RTC on Brooklands Road. Have got anyone available?
Yeah, Yankee November 09, you can show me towards over.
Yeah, 09, we'll see.
Yeah, November 1, 2. Yeah, November 09, we are state 6.
M2HS from Sierra 182, Sierra 182, status 01, mobile to incident.
So as you can see, the Surrey Police have attended the incident. They're assessing the situation. It's to check the casualties, which they're doing now, as you can see.
Keith, did we get there before the ambulance, mate? Can you be the medic?
Yeah, no problem. So I'll grab the first aid kit and O2 cylinder. Do you know how many casualties are involved?
It's the tanker on its side, it's not involved. We've got one casualty in the car.
You can hear the fire sirens coming now, sounds like.
Well, one of the first things that the officer in charge is doing is indicating to his driver where to position his vehicle. Now that's obviously a little bit difficult to picture because we're not on a main road, but one of the things the officer in charge will be doing is using this fire appliance to protect crews. So he'll be parking his appliance or positioning it in what we call a fend-off procedure. So if we were in a road there, the fire engine is actually protecting the crews in where they're going to be working. So you see the officer in charge now, incident commander, he's in there bending on the floor, he's looking under the car, he's looking for all hazards and dangers. His crew are pulling out a hose reel. This is a high pressure hose reel. The reason we do this is obviously we've got a fuel tanker, but also we've got fuel from the vehicle, batteries, electric sparks, hot exhausts, you name it. All sorts of scenarios that we could have a sudden fire. And we see it fit that we'll pull the hose reel off now. You can hear that the fire engine pump is revving, the pump's in, so that if there is a fire, the hose reel can be grabbed at short and quick notice. Now you'll also see now some, you see the black plastic blocks. They're quite a tough plastic, and what the guys are looking at now is stabilisation. Now it's very important when we're working on a car that the car is stable. Lots of cars rock on the suspension. When somebody's got injuries, particularly to the C-spine, which is the neck area, any slight movement to the car that is not going to be in favour of the casualty staying still, that could make things a lot worse for the casualty, and ultimately with the C sign they could end up paralysed. So you can see that they've taken the black blocks, they've put them under the car, and they've taken some of the weight off the suspension. You'll also notice that there's one firefighter, he's still there, and he's the casualty carer, and the officer in charge has put him with the casualty. The main thing he's doing is holding his C-spine, his neck straight. Other things that he's doing there is he's making sure that his airway is open. And he's also offering him reassurance, telling him what's going on. And you notice there's another firefighter now inside the car. Now he couldn't get in the car until it had been stabilised. So the officer in charge now is indicating to the police officer what his plan is. He's setting up a plan from the moment he actually turned up. He's assessed the casualty and the injuries that are there, and he's having a plan in his mind. He's thinking about what equipment he needs. Does he need any further appliances? What ambulance service is required? And anything that he hasn't got on the incident, he'll request this from the control. Okay, the area right in front of me that the guys are setting up here now, we call this an equipment dump. The reason for this is we get all our equipment out. And when the equipment's been used, it then goes back in that position. Reason for this is if somebody needs it, knows where to look for it, it's there. And the kit that they've got, you can see the 2 generators there. They're petrol-driven generators to power hydraulic cutting tools. And looking back to the car now, you notice that some of the firefighters are looking and doing things with what we call a salvage sheet. And they're now going to break the glass. And this is something that we call in the emergency services glass management. The reason for this, we manage all the glass. That basically means we remove all the glass from the bodywork of the car before we start cutting the bodywork itself. The purpose is this so that we can remove the glass in a controlled manner. What would be considered dangerous is if we didn't remove any glass or a window was forgotten, and as the firefighters then start cutting, then some glass could break, could cause injury to the casualty further still, and even worse, could cause injuries to a firefighter, and then they're no good on the actual rescue itself. The majority of glass in a vehicle is what we call toughened, apart from the windscreen, which is laminated, which has 2 layers of glass with a plastic film in between. But because like I say, the majority of glass around the car is toughened, it takes a small shock and it will shatter, and then they can remove that glass. So you'll see the firefighters there again, they're using their sheet to stop the glass going in towards the car, and also a sheet on the floor so they can remove the glass quickly. Gather the sheet and take it to a safe area. So the officer in charge is constantly monitoring his crew, and he's constantly assessing his plan. He's speaking to the casualty carers, finding out exactly how the casualty is doing. What they're using there to remove the door is a combination tool. We call that a combination tool because it can cut and spread. But the other tool that the other firefighters are using, just at the back of the car, that's called a dedicated cutter. That's got a much stronger cutting force, and I'd have to refer to my notes to tell you the exact force. It either cuts or it doesn't. There we go, we've got some facts about those. Now that cutting tool that Neil there is using at the back of the car, it weighs nearly 19 kilos. And he's using that with quite a bit of confidence. He's obviously a strong guy, but that's quite heavy, and if he's using it for some time, that's going to get quite heavy. So you can imagine, if you're not sure of what 19 kilos is, it's 19 bags of sugar. Yeah? Or 19 4-packs of baked beans. Now when it's cutting, that cutters can cut together with 16 tonnes of pressure. So 16 tonnes. And it can cut through that roof quite easily. Hello, we've got another emergency vehicle arriving on scene now. The police are now indicating where they can park or position. Another consideration that the officer in charge and the police will be considering when positioning vehicles is that oncoming vehicles need to come into the scene and need to get away, principally the ambulance. There's no point getting a casualty out, getting them into the ambulance if the ambulance can't then get away and take them to hospital. Now all three emergency services, the police, the ambulance and the fire service, we work towards what we call the golden hour. You'll see some other tools being set up here. Right in front of me we've got a strange metal object. It's actually called a door wedge. And we've got a ram here, and that's for spreading. The reason for that is in the impact, a lot of cars are designed to crumple. They have what you call crumple zones, so they are designed to absorb energy. The disadvantage of that is as the car absorbs the energy and crushes, casualties get trapped. Now what the officer in charge has found is that the driver's feet are trapped under the dashboard. So once the roof comes off, which there it goes, it comes off, removed in a controlled fashion, and as you see, taken out the way to a safe area. So if you ever want a soft top, no problem, 10 minutes time, but we can't guarantee that it'll go back on as neatly as it came off. You see some yellow pads coming out now. Now obviously you can see where the roof has come off. You can imagine that that's probably quite sharp, just as sharp as broken glass. So again, down to crew safety just as much as the safety of the casualty when they're coming out the car. They're protecting the sharps with these sort of padded covers. They've got like a Teflon lining inside them, so that if they're lent on, they won't pierce through, or won't let the sharps pierce through them. Now for those of you that can see, if that fireman just quickly jumps out the way so we can see that ram, has he heard me? He's not. Just give him a tap on the shoulder. That's it. For those that you can see that ram there and that door wedge. And that's basically what we were saying about the dash is trapping the driver's feet. So what they're going to look at doing is pushing the dashboard forward to make themselves some space. Many of our techniques and training, as you can imagine, we don't just sit on station. This needs to be practiced time and time again. We have set procedures. So there's no good the officer in charge saying, I want this done, and this done. It's much easier and the team works a lot better if certain techniques are adopted and put into like a team activity. So they're making what we call a relief cut now, so that the dash can roll forward and create space for the driver's feet. Okay, what you'll notice now, the white board coming in. Now that's what we call, and what the ambulance call, a spinal board. Not a surfboard, might look like one, but it's actually a spinal board. And as you can see now, it all becomes clear at why the roof has come off the car, why the door's off, because we've created so much space that we can hopefully take the casualty out of the position that he's in, ultimately without creating any further injuries. Now what they've done there, the board is up behind, They've gently lowered the seat, slightly reclined it. They've put the board down the back behind the driver. Now in a moment you notice that the ambulance service still holding the casualty. The board will probably go back a little bit, tilt back, so that they can slide the casualty up onto the board. Now as you can imagine, all this noise going on, the officer in charge indicating what he wants, quite a few people's different ideas. When we start to move the casualty, there's one person talks and one person talks only, apart from me obviously commentating, and that is the person holding the casualty's head. So it's whoever has got the casualty's head will be in charge of how much they move them and making sure that everybody is ready so that everybody moves the casualty at the same time. The officer in charge there, he's now liaised with all his crew and the ambulance, and they've decided how they're going to actually move the casualty, who's going to lift what part of the casualty. So started to move. You may notice as well that the casualty's got a mask on. And in that mask is oxygen, pure oxygen. There's a little cylinder that's somewhere, you can see it there, oxygen. So it looks like the casualty's now free from the car. Again, reassurance is obviously a priority as well. The casualty doesn't know where they're going. Now just because the casualty's out, the incident hasn't stopped there. The officer in charge is obviously finding out the welfare of the casualty. But now you'll notice that the crew are automatically starting to pack the gear up. Again, simultaneously they're all doing different things, but they're working as a team. And they're packing the equipment up so that the appliance is what we call ready to be deployed or redeployed. So the sooner we've got all our equipment back on that, the sooner it can. Okay, so the officer in charge now, he's having a quick scan of the area. Pretty good importance that he ensures that the vehicle is safe. Recovery will now come along and take the vehicle away. There's no good recovery truck taking the car away if it's not safe and then all of a sudden it can burst into flames. So you're checking that all the electrics are disconnected via the battery and it's not leaking any fuel. He's also checking that his crew haven't left any pieces of equipment. So obviously, you can imagine if we turn up to an incident, we want everything with us. So he's now getting all his crew back on the truck. Chris likes to turn this one back home for tea and medals. So I think you'll all agree with me, you maybe want to put your hands together for our crew. Chris there, the officer in charge in the white hat, done well and his crew have done well.